everyone, so today's video is going to be talking about oily skin problems, and I have got really oily skin, and if you do, I can totally understand that it is kind of very difficult and annoying and something that you might really struggle with and wish you didn't have. But supposedly we age slower than dry skin, so that's something to look forward to. I don't know how actually accurate that is. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but anyway, and I've got a couple of little kind of tricks and tips and just things that I do to kind of keep the oil at bay when it comes to my skin. I'm not going to talk so much about makeup in this video because I do find that kind of does depend very much, and I don't think I've found a product where I don't need to kind of blot and that keeps my face shine free all day long makeup wise at all, ever. Not even, you know, I still order double wear, nothing. So I don't want to just mention things for the sake of it. But I have always had oily skin, and I used to kind of try and combat it by using really harsh products all the time, and I actually think that that made it worse. And I'm sorry to say that because I know a lot of people kind of like using very abrasive kind of face washes and scrubs and all of that kind of thing and just drying their skin out completely. But I tend to find it actually makes my skin oilier, and it just doesn't make my skin look very nice and look at its best. It always looks a bit red and it just doesn't agree with my skin. So if you do struggle with that, maybe trying to just swap to things that are a little bit more gentle might actually help you. Using something like Cetaphil or just a really light face wash. The Balance Me face wash is really good as well. Very similar to Cetaphil in fact, and just works really well. But try and treat your skin kind of gently rather than stripping it of every oil, because the theory then is that it will make up for the fact that you've stripped it of all its natural oil by producing even more oil, and that can be a little bit problematic. I've been using a face oil every night recently. I've been using the Balance Me Radiance face oil. I love this. I feel like it's made such a difference to my skin. I feel like it's definitely made my skin less oily throughout the day, 100%, and you know, take everything in this video with a pinch of salt because my recommendations might not work for you, but I have really found them to be beneficial. And you know, as always, I'm just sharing kind of what I found that worked, but I really recommend all the Balance Me skincare in general. Actually, I think it kind of works really well for my skin. But if you are somebody who struggles with oiliness, maybe try using a facial oil just at night, a couple of drops instead of your moisturizer, and see how it works for you, because I've been using it a lot. And in the summertime as well, you do get a lot more oily because it's warm and kind of your pores are always a bit more noticeable and everything like that. I do tend to find that the Clarisonic helps with my oiliness as well. Again, not for everybody, and I know it's expensive, but I do tend to find it kind of helps my pores stay clear, and therefore it also helps the oil kind of keep the oil at bay. But that's just me. Another skincare related thing is face masks that kind of help with oil. And I don't think, you know, you're going to use a face mask and it's going to cure the problem for you forever. That's not really how it works. But I do find using clay based face masks that kind of dry down do tend to kind of get rid of any excess oil, and you don't want anything that, like, you know, you're like mummy face and you can't move. But two that I really like are the Dermalogica Charcoal Rescue Mask and the Merumaya Mud Marvel Mask. This one does dry down a little bit more if you have got very oily skin, or if it's been a very hot day and, you know, you just feel like your face really needs a deep clean. This is really good. This is a slightly softer clay, but it does still kind of dry down, and it just gets rid of any excess oil and leaves your skin kind of quite deeply purified and looking really nice. The benefit of using something like this as well is if you're then going to kind of do makeup in the morning, you have kind of got a really nice matte base. I would use these at night personally, but you can just do it in the morning and kind of you'll have a really nice matte base without agitating your skin and making kind of the oil production even worse. I tend to find these kind of get rid of excess oil but don't strip your skin completely. And I also think that using kind of a light exfoliating acid does tend to help, I find, with the oiliness of my skin, because everything's just kind of smooth and more balanced. So I use the Nip and Fab pads. Haven't got them here to show you because I forgot them, but they work really well for me. So that's just another little pointer. But if you take one thing from this video, and one thing only, it is that you need blotting papers. in your life. Now, I know a lot of you probably know about these, but a shocking amount of women do not know about blotting papers and just keep adding more and more powder on top of their makeup, and it ends up looking cakey. You'll end up kind of blocking your pores, and it just ends up not feeling very nice. Now, don't get me wrong, I do top up my powder maybe sort of 2-3 times a day, no more than that. Usually it's kind of twice a day, but blotting papers I use all day long and I love them so much. These are my favourite. These are from Essence. They're £2.50 and they're the Essence All About Matte Control Papers. They look like this. You open them here and this is what a sheet looks like. So you pull out the sheet and what it does is just soaks up the oil without removing any makeup and makes everything look nice and kind of matte again without adding any more powder. So I'm going to show you. Obviously my skin's not super oily now because I haven't had my makeup on for that long anyway, but you'll see even now oil will come off. How gross is that? It's like so satisfying though. And then another place where I get really oily is always here. And on my chin. And there we go, like I'm back to being matte again without having to add powder. If you take one thing from this video, do take blotting papers because they are amazing. And speaking of powder, the powder that I find to be the best, most effective for oil control is the Rimmel Stay Matte Powder. This is the one that I use to top up during the day. I use it on with a MAC 182. Kabuki, and I'll just kind of pop that in there, swish it around my face and all the kind of areas that are problematic, and the oil is gone. It does keep you matte for longer than any other powder I found. It doesn't oxidise on me. I've got it in the shade Silky Beige, and it just works really well for kind of keeping everything locked down, keeping my makeup in place, and just makes everything stay matte for longer than it would if I didn't powder, because I wish I could not powder, but my skin's just too oily and I do need to powder. And I do sometimes wear foundations that, you know, are geared for a more dry skin and are more luminous because I like how they look, but I always need to powder more throughout the day if I'm using something like that. So that's something to bear in mind as well. You generally want to stay clear of things that are going to be glowy because your skin's already got enough natural glow. But I say that with a pinch of salt because I totally don't do that. I still like to use glowy products. I just will blot more and kind of try and keep things to a minimal. But if you are putting makeup on, using a moisturiser and a sunscreen that are not oily is key, because you don't want to add any more kind of grease. You don't want to really use oil during the day on top when put makeup on top, because I find that works not so great. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you've got any recommendations for keeping your oily skin at bay, and let me know if kind of you have to blot 20,000 times a day, because I know I definitely do. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.